What is going on, Amazon sellers? Happy Monday. I hope that your work week is getting off to a good start. Welcome to the How to Sell on Amazon AMA. It is a time to get your questions about Amazon, online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, wholesale, you name it, answered. And of course, I will bring you a tip every single day to try to help you and your business. We are live from sunny Central Florida. I am Chris Grant. Glad to have you guys here. We got a ton of comments already. What is going on? Hey, Luke, how's it going, man? Glad to have you in here. Michael, what is up? VB, happy Monday. Corey, what's going on, man? Glad to see you. Hey, Juan, what is up? Inner Peace with Sesame Seeds. Glad to have you here. Hey, Deal Hunter, Rodrigo, Dennis, Mr. Levine, Kent, Ryan, Jeff, Lex, Oxjam. Glad to have you guys all here. I do need your guys' help. If you guys have questions, make sure to drop them in the chat and I will take the time to try to answer them. And that's what we do for the next 30 minutes. Now, I'll tell you what is I meant yesterday to get to a tip. And I figured I probably better share it a little early. And hey, Julie over on Instagram, glad to have you here. I want to share the tip with you early so that I can get to all of your guys' questions. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen for just a moment. And this one is a very simple tip, but it's something that I know a lot of people pass over. And here's the thing. I have sent over 1 million emails in my lifetime. That is no joke. I've got the receipts to back that up. But I've sent out over 1 million emails, and I know how few people actually read all of them. It's tough, and I get it. I get probably 175 emails a day. About 50 of those need some sort of action every single day. And it can be very easy to gloss over our email inboxes. But there are a lot of websites that you're going to source and maybe not buy from. And you may have either left in your email before, or they have the ability to actually gather your data without you necessarily giving it over. You may get emails on occasion where you're like, I don't remember signing up for that. Well, there is back-end software out there for websites where they can actually scrape your data, gather your data, and send you emails, even if you've never dropped your email in. All right. There's also ways where websites can actually get your address and be able to mail you things. So this one's a little bit of a twofer. Number one, you need to have some sort of system to be going through your emails, even ones that you may normally toss in the trash. And this is an example. This was sent to me on Saturday. I have not bought from this website in a very long time. However, I looked at a product on their website the other week, and I didn't even put it on my cart. Just looked at it, and then I decided it wasn't for me. And then on Saturday, they send me this coupon code. All right, 25 for 25. You get $25 off, $85 or more, plus free shipping. And that was only good until Sunday at midnight. And if I did not make it a habit to make sure to go through all of my emails and just at least glance at them, I never would have seen this particular email because I know I didn't buy anything from them. It's easy for me to take this and just throw it in the trash or whatever it is. All right. So that's number one. Get some sort of system down. Number two, I know that a ton of people do not check their mail on a regular basis. Now, this one's going to be a little bit further between than email, but on occasion, I would say maybe once a month or so, I will get some sort of coupon code via regular old snail mail. All right. And it'll be for, some website that I've ordered from in the past. It'll be for a website that I've ordered from recently. sometimes it'll be for a website that I just was on and never actually ordered from. Now, as you're flipping through your mail, it's very easy to see, oh, well, that's junk, etc. Take a second and look at each one of the postcards that you get. Look at some of the, what is obviously junk mail. Look through it for just a moment, because there may be ways to get coupon codes that you would not have otherwise seen. And you're going through the mail anyway. You're going through your email anyway. So take just another second. All right. Okay. That is a super simple tip for today. Seems very elementary, but I know a lot of people don't do it. All right. All right. Let me get back to these Q&As with you guys. All right. Yeah, we got a nice full house. I appreciate everybody popping in tonight. It's a really appreciate that. And yeah, I could use a VA just for Project Inbox Zero. That would be lovely. Although I've given up. It's never going to happen. I open my phone and I see the number on my my email app, and I just forget it. It's just not happening. Yeah, I am trying to build an empire with these Q&As. Absolutely. All right, VB. I'm brand registered with a pending trademark. I can knock off hijackers sometimes, but escalation appeals never seem to work. Any tips on how to appeal these? Unfortunately, I don't have any tips. This one is beyond my pay grade just a little bit. What I would do personally is, if you are brand registered, you got a pending trademark, I would be sending the counterfeit without a purchase claim. That's probably going to be the easiest one, especially if it is your brand registered product. It's something that you legitimately own the brand of. I would send them an email, and after that, I would probably just file a complaint against them. After that, I cannot help you, unfortunately. That one is a little beyond what I'm capable of doing, just because when I did private label, which was years and years ago, we didn't have all the abilities to police our brands back then. It was very much the Wild West. Syed, Chris will be. Unfortunately, that one is deleted. So no live sourcing tonight. Hey, Dennis, what's going on? Ohio State did cash in my bet, so thank you, Buckeye. Absolutely, man. I'm glad that worked out for you, man. All right, Juan, I've decided to refine my liquidation rules and strategy. Would you mind going over yours to use as a reference? Yeah. So mine it's very, very simple. Okay. From 0 to 60 days, we have a minimum ROI set on our products. All right. Set that to whatever you want it to be. Day 60 through 90, we go to a 0% ROI on our products and try to get them to sell out all the way down to a 0% ROI. At day 90, we have a negative 20% ROI that we will accept. And on occasion, it may go lower than that if need be. We will try to look through each one of the products manually as it gets to 90 days. But typically, we'll take up to a 20% loss on the item. Oh, sorry, Syed, I apologize. Yeah, so Chris is going to leave. So for those of you who don't know, Chris Rasick does a live sourcing on Monday nights. It is in the FBA Today Facebook group. You can find that over on Facebook. Just search FBA Today. If you're not in the group, join. I'll make sure that you get in there. And Chris does live sourcing, answering questions, all of that stuff, sometimes for a couple hours. However, those videos are probably only going to stay up for a week at a time. Last week's video did get taken down, and tonight's video will be up for about a week. and then Chris will probably end up taking it down. Just because, why leave it up that long? If there are some really good bolos in there, sure, it's going to have the opportunity to be seen. But Facebook really only pushes those to usually around 500 or 1,000 people. And then out of that 500 or 1,000, barely any usually take the time to actually watch. And so he's going to knock them down. Dennis, been trying to get set up on SalesGazer, cannot get through. It just stays frozen on the resend email screen. Hey, so all you've got to do is SalesGazer is a little broken. And because it does not produce any revenue, our incentives are not aligned to fix it. So when you sign up for SalesGazer, go ahead and put in your email address, put in your the password you want to use, and then it's going to say, hey, you're going to get an email with your information. Disregard that. Go ahead and just log in with the password you set up, with the email that you used, and you're good to go. Oxjam, any tips for scaling up? I currently have one brand partnership, but they only have one SKU. So it sounds like you're trying to do brand direct wholesale, and the name of that game is it's a numbers game. You're gonna need to keep knocking on doors to try to get more relationships, get more brand direct partnerships. And so if I were you, my goal would be, hey, this is how many calls I need to make per day. This is how many emails I need to send per day. And maybe this is how many trade shows I need to go to per quarter this year to meet my goal. That's what I would do. Let me answer a couple of questions from Instagram here. So, Batman, if I get a violation on one of the countries in my unified account, will it affect my US account as well? It absolutely can affect your US account. Yes. So, you're going to want to get those taken care of as quickly as possible. Now, those they do show up in the other country where they're happening, but you get enough of them and it'll shut down your whole account. Nasir, I am on a live right now, so if you just sent it, I have not been able to approve you to FBA today, but I will get there. Potato, off-topic question. What are your favorite business or self-improvement books? Well, I'll tell you what. So I am a big fan of James Clear. Atomic Habits is one of those must-reads for everybody, in my opinion. Another really great book, business-wise, is The E-Myth Revisited by, is it Michael Gerber? I think that's Michael Gerber. That's going to be an excellent book for running a business. Small Time Operator is another really great book. And then outside of those, which are sort of like classics, I'm a big fan of Stoic philosophy. I think that Stoicism has a lot to do, or has a lot of great qualities when it comes to being a business owner, being an entrepreneur. And now some will say it's pop Stoicism, but just about everything that oh shoot, I'm gonna blank on his name here. But just about everything that Ryan Holiday writes is fantastic. So the Daily Stoic, The Obstacle is the Way, and all of his other books are absolutely fantastic. I would read every single one of those. Syed, what do you think about business relations? How to scale it and what role that plays in business growth? What type of relations are considered what kind of relations are considered best? I think that networking is incredibly important. Having a network of people that you can trust and rely on, if you need help or if you need someone to bounce ideas off of, etc. But I don't think that it's one of those things that you should be looking to scale. Networking is one of those things that doesn't really scale that is worth doing all the time. So it's kind of a catch 22. Everyone wants to be able to automate and scale and be hands off on things, but there are certain things in business that just don't scale but are absolutely worth it, and networking is one of those. And if we're talking about like retail arbitrage as well, or doing wholesale or anything like that, that's another one of those things where, going and talking with managers, going and meeting with suppliers, it's not something that can scale, but it's still worth it. Amar, can you explain this? We would like to inform you that the card issuer has contacted us on behalf of the buyer. Currently, there is a chargeback dispute involving the following transaction. Hey, so you got a chargeback. Some customer decided that rather than return the product or anything like that, they're doing a chargeback, and their bank is going to dispute those charges. You need to go through the chargeback process and give Amazon all the information that they're looking for so that they can try to beat that on your behalf. Julie Blake, from Instagram here. I just took down my drop shipping store that I've had up and running since 2018. It was a total loss. I'm sorry to hear that. I don't know what kind of drop shipping you were doing. There's only You have to do drop shipping in a very particular way for it to be within Amazon terms of service. So if you were not doing it within Amazon terms of service, that kind of stuff will happen, unfortunately. Amar, does Amazon offer insurance? If not, how do you know, or do you know how I can find cheap and good insurance? So, number one, Amazon does not offer insurance themselves. However, they do have what they call the insurance accelerator, which has companies that they, suggest to do business with, and they're going to be like Next Insurance and Hiscox and a few others. Now, let me talk about cheap and good, okay? Because typically you can get cheap or you can get good, but you typically cannot get cheap and good. A lot of times those just are not things that go hand in hand. So you want to make sure that you have good insurance, and that it's affordable. I prefer that term rather than cheap. Okay. So one person I can suggest that you reach out to is Ashlyn Haddon. She is an insurance agent, been around for quite a while, handles a lot of insurance for Amazon third-party sellers. I think you can check out her website at ecom.insure, INSURE. You can also Google Ashlyn Haddon, and she can help you out. Outside of that, Hiscox, Hartford, they're going to be good. I actually use my local agent through State Farm, although I'm going to be switching here pretty soon. My rate went up significantly. And so I think it is time to switch to a company that's a little bit more in tune with e-commerce. But one thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure that you tell the truth about what you're selling. You don't want to not be covered if you were to get sued and you sold something like a consumable, which is something that Next Insurance will not cover. Kent, that's fantastic. Yeah, Atomic Habits is a great read. Carlos, do you know which NAICS code I would need to file my LLC and get my seller certificate? Man, I don't quite recall which one that should be. E-commerce NAICS code. I would probably use the 454110. That one is for non-store retailers, and that's probably the closest that there is for Amazon sellers. Why not wholesale YOA? Well, uh, I'm not against wholesale. Matter of fact, we just released a podcast with a wholesale seller. And to be frank, I think that I would be pretty good at wholesale. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy making sales calls, things like that. However, I also teach online arbitrage. And so I've got to make sure to keep doing it to be able to keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on. My opinion is, and one of the reasons I do what I do here is because I think that retail arbitrage and online arbitrage are great stepping stones for people who want to have a business but aren't really ready for like a full scale wholesale model. They want to be small, they want to test the waters, and that's what retail arbitrage and online arbitrage allow you to do better than any other model. You know, you could spend $200-300 on products and test the waters out. Now, can you do that in wholesale? Yeah, absolutely. But you may not get free shipping, you may not get the best pricing, etc. So you probably need a much larger bankroll to get in there. And that's kind of where my lane has been. Chris, do you know how to join the video call for Section 3 video review? I signed up for 3 time slots, but I don't know where or how to join the call. Haven't gotten an email for it either. Uh, when I joined, it just gave me a link to join right then. So when you set up the appointment, I'm not 100% sure, but I would imagine if you go into your account, into the account health area, it may be in there for you as well, but you should get an email. But mine was immediate. Sorry, we got a couple here from Instagram. Let me answer these. Hey, when buying a product for the first time, how many units do you recommend for testing that product? So I've got a couple of things. When you're testing out a new product, I typically tell people don't spend any more than 1 to 3% of your total sourcing budget on any one ASIN. That allows you to have a nice smattering of products. Outside of that, I usually go somewhere between 10 and 20, just depending on how confident I am on that particular product. And then follow up to that is I'm still a beginner. When do you think it's a good time to get an LLC? My opinion is that you really should try to get an LLC as soon as possible. From the very beginning, you want to treat this like a business if you're going to be serious about it. But if that's not in the cards, if that's not something you can do or want to take the time to do, then as soon as you're like, oh, hey, you know what? This works, and you know the light clicks on, then it's time to put all the pieces in place to make this a legitimate business. Oh, sorry. That one is all right. VB. Chris, have you noticed Amazon has made supplier validation more strict recently? I got hit with an inauthentic claim, and now they're asking for the supplier's supplier invoice. Been a long time supplier. So that suppliers thing has been happening for years. That's not something that's necessarily new. I don't know what triggers it. I don't know whether it's because they don't particularly like what they can find on your supplier when they do a Google search. I don't know if it's because they've had trouble with this supplier across multiple accounts. I'm not 100% sure what triggers that. I might try to get on the phone either with account health or somebody and try to figure out, hey, like they're not going to tell me who their supplier is. So what do you need to know that this is a legitimate supplier? And I'm not saying you're going to get a good answer, but I would at least try. Scott, hey, Chris, I'm enjoying your lives. I listen while I prep. Is there anything I can do to discourage West Coast orders? I live in Kentucky and the shipping is killing my profit. The only thing that you can do is in your shipping settings, you can try to make those as slow as possible. But you have to offer your products everywhere that Amazon requires. and that includes out west. Now, on top of making them slow, you could add some extra cost to certain areas that would probably limit the number of sales that you get from, say west of the Mississippi. And that's probably what I would try to do. Go mess with your shipping settings, and that'd be the best way to do it. Deborah, what was the name of the Facebook group that Chris live sources on Mondays? It is FBA Today. FBA Today over on Facebook. Syed, my insurance is $550 annually, covering all categories except supplements out of the U.S. and white label products with 10 million of coverage from Hartford. No, that's pretty solid. Yeah, as long as you don't want to sell supplements. I want to sell supplements, so I can't use them, or I got to pay more. Deal Hunter, I received a quote from an accountant, a little over $3,000 for a year. As a beginner, I'm not sure if they're overpricing their service. So the cost for bookkeeping and accounting has gone up significantly because they have a lack of supply when it comes to people in that field. All right. There are just not as many accountants and CPAs and bookkeepers as there once were. All right. So they do get to charge more. However, that is $250 a month. I'm going to guess that it's bookkeeping. I hope that includes your tax filing and things like that. I would hope that includes like a P&L statement every month or things. If that's the case, $250 is probably actually a pretty good price. Mar, hey, everyone, please hit the like button I appreciate that. Thank you. How accurate are sales estimates on apps like RevSeller, Jungle Scout, etc.? So I know that this is not meant as a loaded question, but it sort of is. Okay. And I'm not saying that you're at fault for that or anything. It's a good question. RevSeller, SellerAmp, Jungle Scout, all of those companies, they try to estimate the number of sales based on rank as well as they possibly can. All right. But the actual sales velocity on Amazon is something that is always a moving target. It's not a static number. All right. If something is ranked 500 today and 750 tomorrow and 300 the next day and 1 the day after that, the sales velocity is always changing. And the softwares are trying to give you a static number to make it more black and white. So they're doing as good as they possibly can. All right. Now, saying that, how accurate are they? Well, directionally, they're probably pretty accurate. But as an actual number, they're most likely very inaccurate. All right. Now, one of the other things you can do is you can also check Keepa or Amazon. Amazon gives this data, number of sales in the past month on about 3.5 million different ASINs. Not on all of them, of course, because there's almost 1 billion ASINs on the Amazon platform. But even with that number, we have to remember that it is a trailing number, and it will be something like 50 plus or 100 plus or 10,000 plus. So it is also just an estimate and not an exact number. So you need to make sure that no matter what you're using, all right, that you realize that all those numbers are going to be directionally accurate. And what's better is to always test and gather your own data. If something says it sells, 4,000 a month, I'm still going to buy 10 or 20. I'm going to test. I'm going to see how fast my own velocity is based on all of the other sellers that are going to be out there. Excuse me. And then I'll try to replenish if at all possible. And Chris, this is a great question. How long before I watch Churchill at War on Netflix? That is already in my saved, and that may be something that gets watched after my wife falls asleep, and I've got control of what's on the television. Derek, I was wondering if you have any employees in the USA or all VAs. I do have. Uh, So I have one employee in the US. I've got two business partners in the US. And then I have four VAs outside of the US. I don't like calling them VAs, they're team members. So we have four team members outside the US at this time. That may be five here pretty soon, potentially. Julian, many US retail sites reject our Canadian credit cards. Listen, if you guys would stop with the monopoly money up there, more US retail sites might take your guys' credit cards. I kid. All right. But even when they're in US dollars and have a second address that is a US address, it's a huge brick wall. What are the best workarounds? My opinion is you should do whatever it takes to try to get a US credit card. And now I don't know the exact process that is necessary to do that, but I know that it can be done. You may need a bank here in the US, you may need EIN. I'm not sure. If you ask Perplexity or do a Google search long enough, I know that you'll find out how to do that. But that's what I would do. What's your perspective on supply chain challenges for the OA businesses in 2025? Um, I I'm not sure. I would need to sit with this one for a little bit. As of right now, we seem to be kind of in the clear. All right. The ports are open and working. Well, maybe not LA. I haven't checked on the ports out west. So that could cause some issues. I wasn't really thinking about that, but the wildfires out west could be causing some issues or cause issues in the future. The ports on the East Coast and down in the Gulf seem to be okay. So I'm not really sure. Uh, yeah, I mean, unless we have more bad weather, I don't really see anything on the horizon as of yet. But I'll think on that a little bit. Deal man, Chris, just wanted to say you're very helpful and kind. Respect, I appreciate that. Really do. Right after I was making fun of Canadians, so that may have been a little too soon. But Julian, hopefully you know I was just kidding around. RevSeller does not do estimates. They don't offer an estimated number of sales. They pull the number of sales data from Amazon itself. Syed, I saw in seller forums. So before I go on to the rest of this, this was your number one mistake. All right. The Amazon seller forums is a cesspool of miserable people with a ton of bad information and bad takes. So I would try to stay out of there as much as possible. All right. But let's go on here. I saw in seller forums, many sellers got deactivations due to bundling 3 to 4 months before implementation of this bundling policy. Should we stop or continue unless Amazon alerts us? So they were bundling in a different way. All right. They were bundling under their own brand. And those are the people who got messed up. If you're building multi-packs, two different kind or, two a shampoo and a conditioner from the same brand, you're probably going to be okay until Amazon decides to take those listings down. VB, your Q&A sessions are valuable. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you being here. Some of these 50 plus sold in the last month seem to be on the low side. I would agree with that. I don't necessarily think that number is always accurate. I think it's just directionally accurate. And are we looking at variations? Or are we looking at single ASIN listings? When it's a variation and it says 50 plus, I tend to give that a little bit more credence. If it's a single ASIN and it's ranked, 2000 and it says 50 plus, I think it might be a mistake. I have heard from multiple private label sellers that the numbers that Amazon says when they say 50 plus, the numbers do seem to be directionally accurate. Excuse me. Corey, I think I've got all my ducks in a row for changing business info for the single member LLC, theoretically with no blips. Should I change the business name though, or keep it as mine? It's a good question. Amazon technically says that LLCs are treated as sole props if they're a single member. But personally, I would probably try and change it to the LLC name if at all possible. Here we go. So Dealman and VB both say, or sorry, Dealman says use Wise. So that's great. Yeah, and Chris is absolutely right here. Friends don't let friends go into the seller forums. It is a cesspool. Kent, just for my note, what was the two legal experts you named the other day? One was a guy, the other was a business. So Jeff Schick is a lawyer, and the other one is shoot, Seller Basics. That is also run by a lawyer. Junaid, sorry if I got your name wrong there, but do you think it's possible to fully automate an online arbitrage business where you only invest money and don't have to manage any of the operational processes? Do I think it's possible? Yes, I do think it's possible to be able to do that. You would have to trust your team. But I mean, we've had Jassim on the podcast, and I guarantee that he's probably not spending a lot of his own time buying products online arbitrage, and he does tens of millions of dollars in online arbitrage sales every year. He's managing the business, he's managing the employees, he's looking for new talent, looking for places to expand his retail arbitrage operation. So, yeah, it's possible. Yeah, Jeff is also a really great leader for his team. Absolutely. I agree with that. Sorry, guys. All right. Tiffany, when will we have our 1099K? Those are due by the end of the month. So I never expect Amazon to get them out early, but they'll be between now and January 31st. All right. Last question for the day. Jorge, any experience using Vico for sending in FBA shipments? Nope, that's not what it's for. Vico is just for merchant fulfilled. You're not going to want to use that for sending in shipments to Amazon FBA. I'm sorry, we got a couple more here. I know it all depends on the product, but what categories um, do you think are beginner friendly? Uh, Honestly, there are things in every category that you can sell just about. But toys and games, see, they've gotten much more difficult through over the years with more brand gating now. So I'm not even sure if there's the right answer to this. I would probably go after some of the larger categories rather than what category is more beginner friendly, because the larger categories are going to give you a bigger surface area for serendipity. Uh, there are going to be more products that you could go after. So, clothing, shoes, and jewelry, but you really need to know your numbers there, and you need to take into account returns, home and kitchen, tools, tools and home improvement. Those are all some very big categories where you can buy up into the 500, 600, 700,000 sales rank range and still make sales. So those may be good for those kind of things. All right, guys. That is it for today. We went a little over to 41 minutes. One quick announcement. On January 27th, we've got the OA Challenge starting. If you're interested in doing something like this for about 2 hours every single day for 14 days, you're going to want to join the OA Challenge. It is soup to nuts about online arbitrage and selling on Amazon. I'll teach you everything I know over the course of 2 weeks. And we start January 27th. If you want to learn more, you can hit the link down in the video description or head to oachallenge.com and check it out, learn a little bit more, and get signed up. All right, guys, that's it for today. I will see you tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Eastern to do this all over again. Have a great evening, everybody.